What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're covering the AL West. You may have seen the videos for the East and the Central, and what we're doing here is we're going team by team, discussing the players that are ripe for an investment, whether it's short-term or long-term. The first roster update is coming out April 30th, and they'll be every other week from that point forward. So I've got some folks that are definitely going to get upgraded in that first update, and others that we have to hang on to for a while so we can collect our stubs. If you don't know what I'm talking about as far as investing goes, what we're looking for is level changes. Guys going from bronze to silver, silver to gold, gold to diamond. The last two are the ones that really pay off, silver to gold and gold to diamond. Bronze to silver is more of an investment that you would make if you're doing a lot of exchanges, so investing in those guys as 72s, and then they come out as 76s, you get all those extra points from the exchanges there that you can then use those cards for. So you're not really going to go rich off of bronze to silver necessarily, but you can gain in other ways because then you don't have to buy those cards off the market to exchange, so that you are still gaining for your bankroll. It's just a little bit more indirect. Silvers to golds, golds to diamonds, that's where you're adding to the bottom line there in the upper left corner. Let's start with Houston as we go around the West here, team by team. Jose Altuve off to a fantastic start with his bottom line, but a bit of an uneven start as far as his splits. He's hitting 500 against lefties and a 136 against righties. Very weird. So you might be looking at his batting average thinking, oh, he's doing really well, but with that kind of split, it's kind of messed up right now. So again, whenever I bring up a guy, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily somebody that is getting an upgrade. Sometimes I got to bring them up to discuss why they might not be getting one, even though on the surface it might seem like, well, why wouldn't Jose Altuve get one? He's hitting 318, 380, 455. He is, but it's been weird. So here's the thing. I think he'll be neutral right now, because if they go in and do anything that they would give him versus lefties, they'd have to take away versus righties. So it would ruin the cards balance. It would end up probably keeping him at the same 82 overall. There just isn't much here to go off of right now. Plus, he's hurt. That doesn't change whether or not he deserves an upgrade. That means he's not changing the numbers right now, though. He needs power to get to diamond. If he's going to get back to diamond this year, it's going to come via power. He only has one home run. So I'm not really investing in Jose Altuve right now, just kind of sitting tight, watching it play out, and hoping he gets back on the field sooner than later. Michael Brantley here at an 82. Here's the thing. He needs big average against lefties and or a power surge to have any shot at diamond. He's only 3 points away, which isn't too bad, but he's not known for power. And you can see there in the bottom right that he's 67 against righties, 43 against lefties, 79 contact against lefties as well. So those are the three avenues. Of the three, though, the contact versus lefties is the only one that I would reasonably expect him to improve upon. Otherwise, I'm just not sure that he's going to deliver the stats needed to get 3 extra points. So again, kind of like Altuve, it's like a tap the brakes, don't get caught up in too much with Michael Brantley. Next one, okay, this one is more of an investment here, because I think a destined for diamond run is in here for Ryan Pressly. Now, it'll have to come with a few different elements. It's going to require a giant strikeout surge. And what I mean by that is, he'd have to gain like 10 plus points. He'd have to be in the mid 90s with his K9 to get there. The BB9 is already there, and it actually needs a boost. 74 is too light for him. So I think he can already get some gains there and continue to move up with the Ks and the hits. As you can see here, 10 points to both his Ks and his walks puts him at 83. I think he is pretty close to deserving that. Maybe not the Ks yet. Maybe the Ks right now only needs like a 5 to 7 point boost, and then the walks deserves the 10 points, and then from there he'll be still probably an 82, 83, so he's in shouting distance. The reason I don't mind investing in him, though, is he's dirt cheap. He's literally, I mean, not literally, because literally would be 1,000, but he's pretty close to base price as you can get for a gold, and it's a free shot at a potential diamond investment if you believe in him, right? Don't just do it with anybody. Like, Eloy Jimenez is not playing all year. He's not going up. You know what I mean, though? Even guys who are playing, if they really don't have a shot at diamond, if there's no real path, don't waste your time. Pressly absolutely can find a path to get there, especially because with a lot of relievers, they have like one major flaw. It's usually their walk rate. They have nasty stuff. They get a ton of strikeouts. They suppress hits, but they walk everybody, like Aroldis Chapman. Pressly doesn't have that. He doesn't walk guys. and he has a good strikeout rate, and he can have a great hit rate at times too. So there really is a path here. I wouldn't mind putting a few in my inventory there because it's only just over 1,000 stubs. Next up is Yordan Alvarez. He's been looking good in his return, but he has that JD Martinez problem in that everything needs to come from the hitting to get him boosted. So basically, you're gonna have to be locked in on what he's doing against lefties, right? It's actually kind of a reverse Nelson Cruz, to use another DH. Remember, for the past couple of years, we've been locked in on everything that Cruz is doing against righties to see if he can get those last few points. It's the opposite here for Alvarez. Can he do something against lefties that can foster the big enough boosts in contact and power to get there? We're 5 points away, so it's going to take a lot. And he probably still needs to continue to dominate righties, too. Remember, that's the thing with Cruz, is he would always continue to crush lefties and keep adding there, and he'd get so close, 83, 84, just not enough against righties. I could actually see that happening with Alvarez, where he gets his numbers like to 98 or higher in contact and power against righties, but then his numbers against lefties just aren't quite there. So far, he's been doing well, 304 average, 1 homer in his 26 plate appearances. Super early, though. It's one of those that I had to bring up because he is off to a good start and looking like, okay, he's been healthy, he can play, and hopefully he stays out there all year. But I just don't know if 5 points are on the table for Alvarez, barring like an MVP candidate level type of season, which he has in his bat. It's just a low likelihood. All right, next up is Yuli Gurriel. He's 1 point away. So it feels like a first update hold for gold right here. And there's still some meat on the bone to invest. Now it's starting to move up. You see the buy now there, excuse me, at $9.49 if you look there in the community market on the left side, but $5.85 on the sell now. So you can get in there, get some orders in the high 500s, low to mid 600s. That's a little meat left on the bone. But if it starts to inch up past, $7.50 into the 800, I probably wouldn't do it. But he does feel like an easy bet to get gold in the first update. Going on the other end, buy low, Kyle Tucker. As you can see here, his inside edge takes him to the gold level at an 80. All he needs is +6s against righties. Well, he's not getting it this time. He's off to a brutal start. But being this close, he's a great hold for gold because he's priced to buy. Even if you went in and did buy nows, I don't recommend doing that, but if you wanted to take the quick way out and didn't want to put in the orders, at 444, that's still giving you the opportunity to double your investment. Go in there, put in buy orders, get somewhere in the high 200s to mid 300s there, and that's obviously going to give you the biggest payoff. He's my 2-level guy for this team because he's so close to gold. Even though he's off to a tough start right now, he's so close to gold and he has such a dynamic profile and capability that I really think he has the opportunity to get to diamond at some point this year. So I'm definitely going to hold for gold right now, but if he gets there quickly, I might even jump. I might even hold and wait to see if he can get to diamond. By the way, Kyle Higashioka hit another home run. I think he has like 3 or 4 already this year. That's wild. Anyway, next up is Lance McCullers Jr. Sorry, he's right next to Tucker. Now, I think we're pretty close already, right? A K9 surge could get him there, even if the BB9 doesn't necessarily pop off for him, even though that's his biggest area of growth. However, it's really rough right now. He has a 5.9 walks per 9, and that's just not going to cut it. So right now, I think for the first update, he's barring whatever he does in his next start, right? Because we're still in the zone where one start can totally change your fate. I can actually see him getting a 1-point boost to 79, a big boost in his K9, and maybe a little love for his hit 9. Counterbalanced by some hit to his walks per 9, his BB9. So that's going to set him up for a hold for gold. He's priced to buy, similarly to Tucker. Maybe you pick your favorite of the two and you hang on. They both have legit gold potential. Hell, maybe you want to get both. But both definitely carry that potential over the course of the year. I like Tucker and McCullers, even though Tucker's off to a brutal start across the board, and McCullers has some good skills going, but he has like a 5.30 ERA. But I'm not even worried about it. One of my favorite breakout picks this year is Jose Urquidy. Now, he is 5 points away from gold. He is coming off a pretty mediocre start in Colorado, so I don't really hold it against him too much because it's Colorado, but it wasn't that good. I'm not going to pretend that it was. He has the stuff to chase down the next level. I really do think he's a long-term hold for gold, because that 50K9 is what can really jump up for him. He's already at 8.6 strikeouts per 9 this year, just under a strikeout per inning. And we saw last year that he got off to he had a weird season. He only pitched 30 innings. He had a long-term COVID issue. It was just really bizarre for him, and he never really got going. I think this year he gets going. He's going to show off that he has a strikeout arsenal. And I think he's going to show some stamina too, because he's at 67 stamina. I think that is ripe to be moved up as well. So far this year, we have him, he's just over 5 innings per start. He's going to need to do a little bit more than that to boost it too much, but I think he can be a consistent 6+ inning guy. He's gone 4 1/3, 6, 5 2/3, 5. So it's been up and down. If we see him put together a string of, say, 6+s, then I think we could lobby for a stamina upgrade. But for now, I think it's the per 9s for Urquidy that can definitely get some love and send him upward. I think he'll get to, it's going to be a stair step, right? It's not going to be one day he's 75 to 80. He's going to go to like 77, 78, and then have to have that last leg for 80. But he is very cheap. So I'm getting in there. I'm going to have a bunch of shares of Urquidy, because I mean, he's not going to go up that much over the course of the coming weeks, because there's not imminent value to doing so. So if you're a long-term investor, Urquidy is definitely somebody. I mean, if you listen to my fantasy podcast or read my work, you know I've been on the Urquidy train for a whole minute. Someone just jumped 140 right as I did the 132. How dare they? I will jump them by 1. Okay, don't fight me right now on Urquidy. Let me get some Urquidy shares. Come on. Who's our next Astro here? We have, Ryan Stanek. He's off to a fast start, and I think it could foster an early move to silver. Where is he? He's at 73 here. And so, yeah, I think he's got, 2 points to get there. I think that can happen very quickly if he can hold his walk rate gains, because he's not walking guys at a decent clip right now. He's at 2.9. That's pretty good. Especially for him. If he can hold that, there's some hold for gold upside here. And he's going at 111/50. You can get him for double digits right now. So it's kind of like a no-brainer investment here, because I do think he's going to get silver on April 30th. So he's already going to change a tier there, so you can get your money back just right there, just in and out real easy if you want. But if you want to stick around, I think there's some gold upside here from Stanek. He's always been somebody who can get the hits, keep the hits suppressed and get the strikeouts. It's just a matter of if he can actually not walk guys for a consistent period of time. And that's going to cover it for the Astros right now. Moving on, we go to the Angels. And I mean, I feel compelled to mention him just because he's such a god. And obviously, there's nothing for investments, but yeah, he's going to go up. He's going to go up. He's got to go up to like 97 off rip. He's just insane. He's just insane. This guy's priced like he's destined for diamond, which I get, because he has 2 avenues to improve, or many avenues on 2 different fronts, I should say, because usually when I say many avenues, I'm like a hit 9 and a K9 are the 2 avenues. No, he can improve his hit 9, his K9, his BB9, his contact, his power. It's just insane. But I mean, he's priced so high right now that I'm only bringing him up similarly to Trout in that, yeah, I think he's going to be upgraded probably in his hitting first, but you can't really invest in it because, I mean, he's so expensive already. But it'll be a fun ride to watch. If you've pulled a few and you're holding a couple of spares, just be ready when he hits a 2-homer game or pitches and does well, because the price will fluctuate wildly and you can make profit like that. So I wouldn't sell any duplicates right now. Well, I might. 4,000 for a silver is pretty high, so maybe I would, but I don't know. It's a fun stock to hold because of how wild the rides can be. All right, so our first actual investment for the Angels is, of course, Dylan Bundy. He's picking right up where 20 left off, and he made gold last year. Remember, he made a big 5-point jump. First time we'd ever seen anything like that. That was because of the COVID season, though, where they were being more aggressive. We're not going to see those kinds of jumps this year, so I'm confident that nobody's really going to go 75 to 80, barring something just otherworldly. And I don't even want to put the caveat in. I don't think in a normal 6-month season, the way they usually upgrade folks with patience and wanting to see stuff, I don't think we see another jump like that again. It took the special circumstance of the COVID season. But anyway, he's an easy hold for gold. I think there's an opportunity for him to get the gold on April 30th. In fact, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And he's priced under 400, so there's a lot of upside here to invest in. I don't think Diamond's completely off the table. It would take basically a full-on breakout. Like, he broke out last year, but that was 2-month season. It would take the full season. We'll talk more about that down the line, though. Let's let him get to gold first, sell our shares, do with our money what we want to do there, and then get back to it down the line. But I just love Dylan Bundy, and I think he's got a lot of upside still. Rafael Iglesias here. We already see with his inside edge, these plus 10s puts him to an 81. And that's only plus 10s. That gives him 3 points. So he's on the cusp right now. And I think his strikeout and walk rates right now are pretty excellent. He's an easy hold for gold, and another one that I think could get it as early as the opening update. So Rafael Iglesias, easy peasy hold for gold. Jared Walsh. Speaking of picking up where 20 left off, he absolutely is. And he's starting to make sure that he's in the lineup every day based on his performance. Remember, coming into the year, they're like, well, what if they have to play Albert Pujols? It's like, but they don't, because nobody's obligating them to play Albert Pujols. Now, I know he's a legend. I get it. I know he's not going to sit forever. He's going to get some PT. But then you figure it out to get Walsh in. If that means putting him to the outfield, then you put him in the outfield. Ohtani obviously has the DH on lock, but when Ohtani's pitching, you let Pujols DH, Walsh get in. You find time for him. This guy's insane. He's off to a huge start. 1041 OPS with 4 homers. He's my 2-level pick for this team. That's right, folks. I've got him tabbed as a diamond candidate in the vein of Luke Voit. That's exactly the vibe that I'm thinking here. Remember what Voit did last year. Now, that was the supercharged season, but I'm just thinking that Walsh will do it. It'll just take a longer period of time. But I do think he has that kind of transcendent power. We've seen him cut down the strikeouts and add to his hit tool capability, meaning the contact can jump up. We're a long way out from it. We're going to have to get to gold first and everything. But if you want a long-term 2-level guy for the Angels, it is Jared Walsh for me. As you can see, I'm already invested for gold, which I don't think we get necessarily week 1. I think we're going to get him to 78 week 1. If he keeps going, maybe the second update we get to gold, and then we worry about diamond 3-4 updates down the line from there. Because the move from 80 to 85, that's a long one, and it should be, right? The diamond should be very special. So remember, whenever I'm calling somebody, if I call a 2-level guy and it's a silver, that's a really long-term investment, at least July, if not into August, September. So just keep in mind with that, that's what we're looking at there. If you really want to be part of that, it's hard you can't just go silver to diamond in a month and a half. It's just not going to work. They're more judicious with that, as they should be, by the way. I'm going to do a cursory mention of Max Stassi. I love him. He's 1 point away from silver. He was off to a good start, and then he hit the IL, which is a super bummer. I don't know if they would give him silver based off of 19 plate appearances. I mean, he had a 1036 OPS if they want to flip him silver. But, honestly, it's probably better if they keep him down here. We can invest more while he's hurt. And because he's actually a 2-level candidate too. I love Stassi's bat. I think he could feasibly chase down gold this year once he gets healthy and gets back on track, of course, because you can't do it from the IL, folks. Last one here on the Angels is Alex Cobb. Cobb is absolutely out of his mind so far this year, and it all comes back to the thing, which is what he calls his split finger, and it's nasty. It's cooking again, it's looking back like it did in Tampa Bay. He's got 13.1 strikeouts per night, 1.5 walks. So he has been dominating. Obviously, he's going to get a huge upgrade from this common that he's at. I think he'll get into high bronze in week 1, so like a 73, 74. Obviously, if he continues, I think he'll get silver the update after that. And then there's potential for gold. It's long. It's really long with him. Right now, if you're investing in him, I've got 17 of them. You're either wanting to exchange him as a bronze or you're saving for silver. The hold for gold is very long shot because we have to see if these strikeouts can hold for Cobb. So right now, our narrow focus is the bronze, our wider focus is the silver, and if we really want to get cutesy and hold a few shares for the rest of for a long part of the summer, then maybe gold is in Cobb's future if he stays healthy and if the thing continues to work. So that's the Angels there. Let's continue to move on here and move over to Oakland. They've got a bunch of candidates. I really like the investment opportunities on this squad. Now, if you follow me last year, one of my big calls off rip was to get in there and get you some Matt Olson. He could chase down Diamond. And boy, did that flop. It did not work at all. He didn't hit my weight. And for those that don't know, I'm built like a stop sign. I'm 6'5", 175. So he did hit my weight. I think he hit like 196 or something like that. But it was not good. The power was still there. I really wasn't. I wasn't that deterred from Olson. Like coming into fantasy this year, I wasn't like, oh, he hit sub 200 last year. He sucks. No, it was. It was a 2-month season. He has a volatile BABIP because he lives in the air and things like that. It happens. I wasn't worried about it. We're back at it again, buying in on him. This is one where I'm a little bit bummed that the game came out after the season started, because if it comes out, on like March 25th, we get Matt Olson for like 1,300 stubs. Instead, it's 2,300/1,800, and we're paying a little bit more, but that's okay. Obviously, we're 4 points away from Diamond. They're not going to boost his contact through the roof based on a 316 average for 66 plate appearances. He's going to have to show consistent batting average for the next, 6 weeks or so, I would think, to get to Diamond. But it is in the cards, and I'm going to hold my shares at least until the All-Star break, I think, unless he takes a major downturn, right? But if he's holding and playing the way I believe Matt Olson can, then I'm going to hold those shares because I really think he can chase down the Diamond this year. I also want to see how he's doing power versus lefty, because that's another avenue where he can grow, because he has a 71 there. Okay, he's only 3 for 15 against them, but one of those 3 is a homer and the other 2 are doubles. So, it's only 3 hits, but they're all for extra bases. Let's tick that power up. So there are avenues here if you don't mind a long-term investment for about $2,000 a piece. It's a pricey investment. I will freely admit that, especially if you're working with a medium bankroll, to put 2,000 stubs into each share of a guy who we're not expecting to pay off until, again, around the All-Star break. So it's not every investment is for everybody. You figure out what works best for you and your bankroll, and that's why I try to cover everything as far as the top end guys, medium, and even low tier. All right, next up on this squad is Jake Diekman. This feels like another one of like, oh, we're doing this again. Something we've been doing over the last few years of like trying to get Jake Diekman to gold. It always comes up short because of one thing, and you can see it here, but I'll show it to you on the main sheet as well, if it'll pop up. What sticks out like a sore thumb here? The 26 BB9. If he can suppress walks, he can get to gold. It's that simple. However, it has not been simple for him to suppress walks. Thereby, I would not expect it. I did just want to bring him up because he's off to a career best 3.2 walks per 9 right now. So you can get in now, get in cheap. You're unlikely to be burnt even if he doesn't get there, right? Because, again, if you invest in somebody and they flop to where they're going to lose the level that they're currently at, you can sell before that happens. If he falls apart and falls below 75, well, we get out before that ever happens. We keep our losses to a minimum. Most likely, he's going to live in the 75 to 77 range all year. But we want to gamble a little bit. I think there's some upside there to get to gold if he prevents walks. I think he'll get a little walk rate. Well, it depends. If he walks 4 like tonight, that ruins his walk rate for the season. But if he's good by the time roster locks, let's say he doesn't walk anybody else, or maybe walks like 1 or 2 batters in 4 or 5 innings, whatever he's going to get before roster lock, I think he gets a little boost this time to like 40. But to get to gold, I think he needs to show some long-term growth with his walk rate and get that into like the 60s. Or he needs to send his hit rate and his K9 through the roof, or his hit per 9 on here, not his actual hit per 9. You don't want that. You want it to be low. Anyway, Jake Diekman, he has hold for gold potential. It is a bit of a long shot though. Oh, yeah, Sean Murphy. I did want to mention him real quick because I figured somebody would ask about him, even though he's off to a terrible start. He's dirt cheap. So he's not a bad long-term hold for gold. Again, this is one of those, if you have a smaller budget and you're trying to pay off quickly so that you can build that budget and snowball it, this is not the investment for you. This is if you're a little bit of a Richie Rich and you're looking to diversify and have some short-term, medium-term, long-term. He's off to a terrible, terrible start right now. So he hasn't even hit his first hot streak. But once the ball gets rolling, if it gets rolling like we know Murphy can hit, then he can threaten gold. But it's down the line. Here's my 2-level guy for this team. It is indeed Mark Canha. He's an easy silver for the first week. That's a given. But I think he's also an easy 2-level guy. I think it's high time that we get some respect on Mark Canha's profile here. Like, what are we doing? Now, I will say this. That's a little tongue-in-cheek, by the way. I don't want to be like, the hell, SDS? Especially because each of the last 3 years, they've had a diamond out there for him. Last year was the Tops Now. The year before that was the Player of the Month. And this year is the return of that Player of the Month. If you guys are unfamiliar, that is available in a flashback pack, I believe. And it's on the market for a cool $13K. I'm not buying it yet because I'm very close to that first inning pack. And I already bought the Eovaldi to use for the event. So I'm just going to wait to get my Canha. But you better believe that that's who I'm picking. So in 19, he had that card. Last year, he had an amazing Tops Now. And this year, we get the 85 again. But his live series has continued to languish, even though he's dominant. So we look here this year. He's already off to another brilliant start. 261 average, you're like, what do you mean? You said brilliant. I know that's not so great, but a 414 OBP is amazing. And a 449 slugging is pretty solid. He has 3 homers, a triple, and 2 doubles. So he's got some good power, and he runs a bit. He's already got 4 steals, and he's 4 for 5 on the bases. So I'll check his sprint speed. I don't know if his speed necessarily needs to go up, but his stealing damn sure needs to go up, because if you look since 2019, he's 11 for 14 on the bases, and we're all good with that. That's a little 79% success rate. That's much better than an 8. Okay. Now I don't know what the stealing metric does as far as your overall, how much it helps. I really don't know. I'd have to ask the folks over there at SDS if they can color that in a little bit, if the steal metric would really bump it up. But either way, he's got to get to silver right away, just with some power improvements against both sides and maybe a little bit of contact against lefties for sure. Probably not righties. He's only hitting 259 against them this year. That doesn't really require some like big jump. Especially after he hit 221 against them last year. But he has been better against lefties. I think that needs to be in the mid to high 60s. I think both power metrics need to be in the mid 70s there, so the right needs to catch up to the left. So he'll be silver, and I think he'll be like a 76. And if he continues to rake like this, then he needs to go up. He needs to be hitting that gold level. So he's my 2-level guy for this team. Another metric that needs to go up is that discipline. I know that discipline is no longer a big deal in DD because check swings are now your own skill as opposed to part skill, part discipline, and mostly just a coin flip based on that discipline and the BB9. But he's walked 14, 15, and 16%. He's going up 1 tick each year from 19, 20 to 21, and he only has a 78. Honestly, with that kind of walk rate, he needs to be approaching 100. So that should give him a boost as well. I really think he should be sitting 77, 78 pretty quickly and then setting up for the fact that if he continues to hit like this, he should be a gold. So Mark Canha, easy silver for the first week, long-term gold, and maybe not even that long. Long-term in this instance, I'm talking like a month. I really think if he continues to rake like this, he could be there in a month's time because they got some catching up to do. Sean Manaea up next here. Another easy silver, I think. I think he gets it in the first week because he needs to boost his K rate because he's already added some Ks. Here's the thing. He can be a hold for gold if the K rate is real and if he continues to either improve it or hold where he's at. I think he's at 9.6 right now or 8.6? 8.4, which is not huge, but it's good for him, and it's better than a 49. He was at 7.5 last year and 9.1 the year before that. So I think the 49 is way too light in general. It needs to be, I think, high 50s, low 60s. So he'll easily get into silver. And then it'll just be, can he hold the Ks and maybe even improve his hit rate? And that's how he could get to gold. So Manaea is more of a fringe hold for gold, because I don't know if I believe in the strikeouts. I'm a little skeptical on it, but at least there's a path. Canha, meanwhile, is a high recommendation investment. Jed Lowry is off to a great start. And here's the thing. If you know anything about Jed Lowry, you don't doubt his talent. You only question the health. It's that simple. This is one of those guys that the talent piece is there. It's simply a matter of, can he stay healthy long enough to, get to silver and then maybe even gold. Like, gold is not out of the realm of possibilities. The last time he was great was with Oakland back in 2018. It's been a while. He had basically 2 years off. He had 8 plate appearances with the Mets in 2019. Didn't play last year. So he's been off for 2 years. Prior to that, with Oakland for 3 years, he had one dud. 2016 was an 87-game dud. But then in 17 and 18, he played 150 and 157 games respectively, so very full seasons. He hit 272, 356, 448. That's really good. His average per 162 games over that time was 20 homers, 45 doubles, and even though this doesn't count on the card, I will mention 88 ribbies and 86 runs, just to give you the idea of how well-rounded of a player he was and how good of a per 162 that actually is. So Jed has big-time silver vibes pretty quickly. Like, I think he can get back there. Probably not on April 30th. I don't know if they're going to give him that much juice this first update. But by the second update, he can get to silver if he's performing well enough. And then I think gold by the All-Star break, if he stays healthy. But he's 37 years old, so please do not invest in him thinking, I'm getting a gold player. That is like a high volatility investment. If you want to get him for silver and do that in the short term, I have big confidence in that. When it comes to gold, stay tuned. or be patient, I guess is what I would say, because if you're going to invest in him, it could be nerve-wracking, because he health. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to jinx him. I'm trying not to jinx him. Even though jinxes aren't a real thing, I'm trying not to say anything. And I backed out like an idiot, so now I got to scroll back to Oakland. And I want to talk about Lou Trevino. While we're getting back to Oakland, I can mention that he's looking a lot more like his 2018 self. Remember that's when he broke out and became a big part of that bullpen for Oakland. I think he was even the opener of their playoff game. Do I have that correct? I think Lou Trevino did open a playoff game. Now, I don't think it went well for him, but I want to say maybe it was Hendricks. I don't remember. But I think Trevino was a big part of their 2018 season. I know that for sure. Here's the thing. He started to turn it around last year, yet he is still rated just 69, which is not as nice as you'd think. It's pretty low. If the hit rate gains can hold and he can rein in that walk rate, then I think he's a hold for gold long shot. Now, since we've talked about 3 different long shots here for Oakland on hold for gold between Manaea, Lowry, and Trevino, let's rank those in terms of the viability of getting to gold. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to give Trevino the highest potential because of Lowry's health. If you could sprinkle magic health dust, it'd be Lowry in a runaway. Because I think if you could sprinkle magic health dust, I would tell you guys to get 1,000 shares of him hold for gold, because I believe in his talent that much. But he's 37 and he has a disastrous health profile. So Trevino is going to be my most confident, then Lowry, then Manaea. And so I would confidently invest as a hold for gold in Trevino. I would do about half to a third of my normal investing for Lowry, in him for hold for gold. You can invest as much as you want for silver, but then I would save maybe like a quarter of those shares to keep him for potential gold. And then for Manaea, a third. And then for Manaea, it's about a quarter. So whatever you want to invest in Manaea going from bronze to silver, do that, and then just keep like a quarter of those as a potential hold for gold. And then the last guy for Oakland is kind of a sneaky standout. He's been killing it. Seth Brown. I don't know if you don't follow Oakland, you might not realize he has 3 homers and a 1016 OPS. So he's definitely headed upward. in this first roster update. It's not going to be enough for 8 points to get him to a silver, that's for darn sure, but he should be in that 72 to 74 range, setting up for a potential silver. His bat can get him there. He's got the skills to get there hitting wise, but playing time is sporadic, even though he's a lefty. Usually when a lefty is in a platoon situation, they're the ones playing a bunch because there's a lot more righty pitchers than there are lefties. But Brown can't seem to finagle his way in, and the reason is because he and Mitch Moreland are kind of redundant. But since Brown is playing well, and Moreland's playing fine, by the way, so neither is failing. They're trying to figure out both. And Matt Olson, not that he would ever come out, but he's also a lefty, so there's no real time at first base for either of them. But his defense is great too, so even if he struggles against lefties, Matt Olson, he's still going to play every day. So it's basically Brown and Moreland fighting for one spot, because while Brown can play the outfield, Canha and Piscotty are handling the corners. So that's why he's been pinched out of playing time. However, on the counter end of that, he's one injury away from playing every day or close to, and then maybe that bat can take off, and then we would see some potential fireworks here. So save for silver. I think Seth Brown is a fun save for silver, especially coming in at under 50 stubs right now. And we'll revisit if playing time opens up. I can't really say that he's even a fringe hold for gold without real playing time. But I do like him for silver. All right, next up, the Seattle Mariners. Now, I'm sorry, Mariners fans, but, I did the same to my Tigers. I don't have a ton of guys for y'all. In fact, I think I have the same amount I did for my Tigers, which is 5. But that's all right. More guys will emerge, right? So let's start with Mitch Haniger. We know what he can do, right? It's not. This is another one. It's different than Jed Lowry because he's not 37, but it's the same in that it all comes down to health. The skills are not the question here for Mitch Haniger. It's a matter of whether or not he can stay healthy. However, I think he's priced a bit high for the risk, and when you look at the inside edge tips that we get here, notice that he has plus 16s, and that only gets him to a 78. So how much of an improvement does he need to actually get to gold? So I wanted to bring him up again. I know I'm kind of repeating that same refrain. Some of these guys I bring up, it's just to let you know how I feel about them and that they're not necessarily investments, so that you don't just go off the stats and say, well, he's doing well, so he's an automatic investment. This is one of those cases where a guy is doing remarkably well, but I'm not sure I would invest for a couple reasons. One, he's priced a little high already, so the market's already kind of pushing him up. Two, injury concerns. He's had a devastating health profile. Some of it's been some fluke stuff. Go look up testicular torsion. Don't look up pictures of it, but Mitch Haniger, I feel for you, bro. And then 3, inside edge clues us in that even plus 16s, which is a massive upgrade against righties, only gets him to 78. So do we need plus 16s against righties and lefties to even get him to gold? I mean, that would be a lot to ask. And it's not that it couldn't happen, it's that it would take so much time. And then that's where that health comes back into picture too, because not only do you need him to perform, you need him to stay healthy for 3 months, So just be careful with your Haniger shares. If you already got in at a cheaper rate, good on you and hang on. But if you're just getting in right now, I would be cautious. I would not dive in head first. I dip my little toe into the pool. I would dive in on this guy though. In fact, I already have a little bit here with Ty France. I would have more shares of the guys I like, but the market has been slow. But I do have 10 of him so far, which stands as like a pretty high mark for me right now because of how difficult it's been to get into the market. But I love what he's doing. I think he's going to be a high bronze off rip, and he has good silver upside with enough bat to be the hold for gold investment and the 2-level guy for me on this squad. I love Ty France's bat. I really do. He doesn't do any one thing extremely well, but he's good across the board, can hit righties and lefties, and I think that there's a lot of growth in this bat profile. You see here that the plus 20s against righties would get him all the way to 76. I think there's growth against both sides of the plate, so while he might not get plus 20s against righties and lefties, if he's getting double digits against or getting double-digit gains versus all 4, the 2 contacts and the 2 powers, that's going to really send him up and put him in that silver range off rip. As far as the gold goes, it would take a while, right? Because he probably needs to get all of his hitting, his core 4 up to probably the high 70s. So that's going to be a lot of time to do that. Additionally, if he could somehow improve his defense, actually, I think he's DHing a lot. Let me see. Oh no, he's playing a good bit of second base. If we could get some good defense out of him, that we could show SDS and say, hey, you see this? You see this? He's playing good defense. Even if it's not something that sticks, we just need like 2 months on the record to show him and be like, he's playing pretty well defensively. Hey, don't say anything. He's playing pretty well defensively, even though we know that like maybe he's not a great defender. But yeah, the hold for gold is definitely a long-term thing. Save for silver. We'll reassess later. But I do like Ty France. I'm already in on him getting to silver relatively quickly. Next up for them is... Wait, hang on. I didn't. Did I sort these by... Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, next up is 64, Chris Flexen. He flexing on these fools. The fact of it is he's a common, and I think he's going to get some upgrades to start in his strikeouts and walks. But he does have a 12.4 hit 9 right now, which is obscene. I don't think they're going to lower him. I think they'll just leave it at 56. But they should improve his K and BB9 right now to get him into bronze. And then we'll reassess from there. This is a guy coming back from the KBO. Kind of like a Miles Michaelis, Josh Lindblom, Kobe Lewis, for those of you that remember, a little bit older school. And these guys have had mixed success. But he's somebody who's come back. He looks pretty good so far, and I want to keep him on the radar, because if he carries some of those gains that he had over in Korea, then I think we have an opportunity to get Chris Flexen to silver at some point this year. For now, you're just looking for him to get to bronze, and the fact that he's pretty cheap. I wouldn't even say he's that cheap. He's not. I honestly, looking at this price, I would only invest if you believe he can get to silver. Now this common, I do think can get to silver. I guess this would be my 2-level guy. Oh no, I already said that Ty France is my 2-level guy, but Kendall Graveman is too. Although common to silver is not as hot of a 2-level flex. So I don't. That's why I'm glad I have France going from bronze to gold. But yeah, Graveman is off to a brilliant start. He's allowed a hit, 2 walks, and has 8 strikeouts with 0 runs allowed in 7 2/3 so far. He's going to get a healthy little boost across the board and get him into bronze. And then if he continues to pitch like this, I think he'll be silver in relatively short order. And the beauty of that, folks, now they'll actually probably take it down. I was going to say the beauty of that is if he gets to silver with an 83 stamina and 5 pitches, including a 95-mile-an-hour sinker, he's going to become a BR god. Let's hope that they don't take his stamina down in the week 1 update so that he gets to bronze with an 83 stamina and a 95-mile-an-hour sinker, and then we just draft BR until we get Kendall Graveman. Imagine doing that. Do not redraft BR around a bronze reliever. That would be silly. And then the last one. Okay. I have to take a drink to regroup for this. I'm going to take a drink of water. Because I don't understand. How is he a 61? Who in the SDS family did Rafael Montero gravely offend? This is insane. I don't understand why he's down here. I was calling for him to get big upgrades last year, and they never came. Now, this year, he comes in at a 61, despite the fact that since 2019, when he became a reliever, so I think just looking at this relief work as a whole makes sense, he has 9.8 Ks per 9, which is way better than a 60, 2.4 walks, which is way better than a 48 BB9, and 6.3 hits, which is way better than a 50 hits 9. He's done that in 56 innings. That's a decent sample. That's like, I mean, I know it's spread out over 3 seasons, 19, 20, and 21, but it's like a reliever season, 60 innings. I mean, I said 56, but like a 60 inning, that's like a full season for a reliever. That'd be a damn good season. That's like a silver season. And I'm not saying they got to move him to silver yet, but I thought he was going to come into this year as a high bronze, knocking on the door of silver if he did well. So I really would like to see a big boost here. I think he should be boosted to like a 72 off rip and then work from there. And I do believe he has silver upside. And frankly, with the strikeout and walk numbers that he has, if they get him to where he belongs, I don't think gold's out of the possibility for Montero. So it'd be a long-term investment, but I think it's at least on the table. And that'll do it for Seattle. Let's go over to the Rangers and finish up the American League. We'll start with a favorite of mine coming into the season for fantasy in Nick Solak. He's just 2 points away from silver. Feels like an easy, a quick silver, if you will. I think he gets it on the 30th. The hold for gold will be determined by his improvements against righties. Plain and simple, right? He's a 62-43 against them right now. And the only way that he can, truly push to gold is if he becomes markedly better against them. I don't think that's unfair to say or an unfair standard to hold him to if he wants to get there. Obviously, that has not been his strength to this point. I am actually trying to look up how he's been doing against them thus far because I forgot to put it in my notes. 268, 388, 415. That's not too bad. That's an 802 OPS. So he's already going to get a little love against them off rip. He's hitting 296, 367, 556 against lefties. Another little boost in the power. So I think both powers get a boost. The contact versus right gets a boost. That should put him at a 75, 76. Then we're sitting 4 or 5 points away from gold, and we go from there. Again, it's a long-term investment because we need to see him have growth against righties that is sustained. Also, power against lefties could also, I said also like 12 times in that sentence, sorry. But yeah, contact and power versus righty and power versus lefty are the 3 key avenues for Solak. If he can improve all 3 of those, he could be gold by the All-Star break. Next up is Dane Dunning, a newcomer to this squad. He was the centerpiece of the Lance Lynn deal. He's off to a fantastic start. 9.6 strikeouts per 9 and 1.2 walks. I think he's getting silver on the first update. Now, as far as gold goes, it's there. It's possible. It really comes down to whether or not he can continue to maintain the strikeout rate. I don't know. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be the 9.6 Ks per 9, but it would have to be something north of 8 per 9, which even that is a little higher than his profile suggests. But we'll see. He did have a 9.3 last year in 34 innings. We're 49 innings into his career, and he has a 9.4. I guess at some point we have to give him credit for what he's done instead of just projecting on onto him what his minor league profile suggested that he would do. So I think Dunning needs to get a nice boost in K9, get some love in BB9, and then kind of be in that silver 75, 76 range, and then we'll go from there about whether or not he can get a gold. If you want to invest in him as a hold for gold, it is a long-term one, but he's super cheap, so he won't hurt you from that aspect. So if you can wait, then it's not a bad idea. Next up is Nate Lowe. There he is. 70, another newcomer. He came over from Tampa Bay. And he's off to an insane start, but it contains a heavy split. He has a 1088 OPS against righties and a 515 against lefties. So they'll go in and make some improvements here, but they're gonna nuke those numbers against lefties too. So I could see something like high 60s, low 70s, high 60s contact versus righty, low 70s power versus righty, but then 40s for the contact and power against lefties. Maybe even 30s for the contact. So it's going to balance out. He'll probably be... I still think he ends up going up like 3 points. Because they should give him a lot of love against righties to make sure that he gets... he should go up a little bit, but not to silver yet. Because he's so imbalanced, I think Nate Lowe should really be... He's going to end up being like a BR bench god who can kill righties, and then you pair him with Mike Brasso, and those are your 2 platoon guys, and you go 12-0. Something like that. How about that, okay? I just wrote out a 12-0 plan for you based on 2 bronze bench players. Right? That's how everyone builds their BR team, around 2 specific bench bronze players. But yeah, I think he needs to be boosted against righties, taken down a little bit against lefties. That should make him like a 72, 73, and we work from there. There is silver potential, but he probably needs to improve against lefties or just continue this like 1,000 OPS or higher against righties. There are two avenues to this. He could go full Jock Peterson on us as well. Next up, and our last one here in the American League, is Adolis Garcia, who I literally wrote the same note as Nate Lowe, except I just filled in his numbers. It says heavy split with like 12 Vs. Heavy split, so he's due for an upgrade, but probably capped at silver right now. So he's hitting 1233 OPS against righties, 500 against lefties. So they're going to either leave his lefties where it is or bump it down a little bit, bump up versus righties a decent bit, and then probably have him around a 71, 72. He can get to silver, but that's the cap. I just, until these guys, Lowe and Garcia, tamp down their Stark split, they can't go higher than silver. So, but that'd be nice even if they got to silver. I mean, they could be fun little hitters as silvers. So that's where we're at in the American League. That's the Rangers for you. And that wraps up the entire junior circuit. Hopefully you found some fun players to invest in across the 15 teams there. This is just the general overview. Once we start getting the updates, starting next week, I'm going to have a distinct list of here's who I think is going to get upgraded. This is what they're going to go to. You'll see that on YouTube. It'll be a shortened list of the full length list that I will have in my Discord for my Twitch subscribers, twitch.tv/Sporer. Go in there, type !Discord. You can jump in the Discord that way. The Discord is open to everybody, but those two, the two investment channels require you to be a Twitch subscriber. So you can do that over at twitch.tv/Sporer. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.